All right, now let's turn it over to Tessa.
All right, folks, it's Trial Tuesday once again. Almost time to ring in a brand new year. And today we're making legal resolutions for 2015. Attorney David Aylor joins me now with some super practical tips that you might want to get pen and paper and take note of. Now, one of the things we want to talk about, of course, you want everything to be in order because, say, we've got the traffic checkpoints out there.
Right.
You want to be able to reach over confidently, know that your paperwork is in order. But some people get a surprise.
Yeah.
They find out, like,
They get a surprise when the insurance coverage comes into play.
Yeah.
And basically, one thing that happens with that is if they're in an accident, is that, ultimately, it may be the fault of the other driver, but
Okay.
you have to understand that the fault of the other driver doesn't mean that they have unlimited resources from the insurance company.
Aha.
They may have the lowest policy they possibly could have, and then maybe not much individually. So what often happens, and it's a shame, is that people get involved in an accident, be hurt, and then not have enough coverage from the driver that actually is at fault
Okay.
to cover themselves. And ultimately what happens then is that, it comes back on you. And if you have your own insurance and you have underinsured policy, it makes a huge difference. We see all these great funny commercials.
Exactly.
And they do
and you get
awesome
drawn
marketing.
in and you buy it.
Yeah, and you save $17 a month or whatever it is.
But is it worth it?
Exactly. In
Right.
the end, is it really worth it? And when it comes down to is it worth it, you're talking about your life, you're talking about your physical therapy, whatever it may be that you need, and not having to spend it yourself. So
Yeah.
checking your insurance policy, are you deciding whether or not are you and your loved ones really covered enough is something that I tell everybody to do all the time, but particularly at the beginning of the year.
Right. So is there like a certain recommendation?
You want to get as much underinsured as possible for
Okay.
yourself. You have minimal limits that most people have, but the more you get, the more that it'll help you if there is an accident. Because again, people see these TV commercials, they think, oh, if I get hit in a car wreck, I'm going to make $1 million. That's not the case. If a person has $25,000 coverage and has no personal assets, and they run through that money, all the rest of the medical bills are coming back to you.
And we don't want that going
No,
into
absolutely not.
2015. Now, what about getting your taxes in line?
Well,
come March, that's when you have to pay your
It's almost
taxes.
January, as
Yeah.
we know. But when you come to the tax issue, a lot of times people get in trouble simply because they're not getting their information together. They're not putting everything together ahead of time. They then rush in the end of it. They may use an online accounting service as opposed to a normal accountant, which is risky in itself because you're making those decisions. The cases I've seen that involve IRS and tax issues is simply because of people that don't have poor planning and poor preparation. So if you're going to do that, you're going to do it on your own. And also, most importantly, you're ready to start saving some money.
Absolutely.
Start now.
Start now. Yeah.
Don't wait.
I know. You may have overdone it for Christmas, but the buck stops here, literally. So
Exactly.
save that. Now, let's talk about, some folks are out there, you might have a criminal record, and some folks think that they just have to live with it. But it's not necessarily true because there's some things in there that you can get expunged or even pardoned. So if someone's out there with a criminal record or they have a loved one who does, what are some steps they should take to kind of, you want to go into 2015 being able to get a better job and things like that?
Loan for a business, whatever it may
Absolutely.
be. I always tell people two things. First of all, check your DMV record. Make sure your driver's license is, not suspended.
Yeah.
Licenses get suspended all the time. That's
Right.
free, and
Yeah.
it takes less than 5 minutes. The other thing is check your criminal record. If you feel like that you or someone you know may have a criminal charge that's an old charge, I mean, it could be from 20 years ago, and you have
Okay.
no idea that it's still holding you back simply because it was arrest. And then also, even if there is a conviction, maybe you had some indiscretion there at some point in your life.
But it was so long ago,
right,
and you haven't gotten in any trouble since.
A drug charge from 1995 should not be holding you back in 2014/15, and often it will. What you can do, though, is you can get it pardoned. You can go through that process, start it early, get it done, and by the time 2016 comes along, have that pardon on your record. It will make a ton of difference.
All right, so those are some practical tips as we get ready to head into 2015. Hopefully, we were able to help you out. David, thank you. It's been a great year with
It's
you.
been a great year. Look forward. I think they're inviting me back for next year.
I think that's great. Wise choice. Stay with us. We're back with much more Low Country Live after the break.
Trial Tuesday, brought to you by attorney David Aylor.